Bismillah. Just let me close the door.
All right.
Yes. Bismillah.
Okay. Let's start with basic definition for the malware.
Hmm.
Malware term was generally is a combination of two different words. First one was your malicious, and second one was your software. Right? We take MAL from the malicious, and we take ware from the software term. And the combination of these two words is known as malware. Right?
Very good.
That kind of software which perform an unwanted instruction. Let's say, like you have a software, you download any kind of software. Let's say you download a VLC media player, or you download any kind of virus, or you download any movie, right? You download a movie, but it acts as a virus. It corrupts your data, it replicates itself, it will just corrupt your data, let's say, right? You download the movie, but it corrupts your data. These kind of applications, these kind of files, these kind of software which perform unwanted operations on your system or on your data are known as malware. They just corrupt your data, they just harm your digital data, your digital system without your permission. They perform unwanted operations on your system. These kind of files or these kind of softwares were generally known as malware, right? So
Let's say it's kind of viruses and virus.
virus is just a type of malware. If I just call it
Oh,
types of malware,
yeah. Trojan viruses.
yeah, they were just the types of malware, right? So the first one was about virus.
Okay.
The second one was about worm.
This is crazy.
Third one was your ransomware. Fourth one was your Trojan. I will explain all these terms. Just let me write down these words.
Trojan.
Right? Again, we have a critical type of
Adware.
malware. We generally call them RATs. Then we call them remote access Trojan. It's just a type of Trojan, but again, it's a critical one. That's why we categorize it in a different type here. Right? I will explain it. What is RAT as well? Remote access Trojan. We have other type of Trojans as well. I will explain that type of Trojans as well. So after RATs, we have some other malwares as well. First one was our keyloggers. Seventh one was our spyware.
That's right.
Right? Eighth one, we can include it as rootkits. Right? So let's start with these viruses one by one. Right? So first we have is our virus. Again, virus stands for vital information resource under siege. This was the full form for your virus, right?
Yes.
Let me just extend this one. All right. So virus is just the abbreviation. You can see just a short form for this term vital information resource under siege, right? So if I talk about virus, we have some categories which make a malicious software to be a virus. We have some basic feature for a virus, right? The first thing is viruses were generally used to corrupt your data. Corrupt data.
Yes. Yeah.
Viruses were generally used to corrupt your data or like to disable any kind of function, to perform any kind of unwanted operation on the system. Right? This kind of software just it were used to corrupt your data, to disarm your system, or to let's say, but they were mainly focused on corrupting your data.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The second feature for the virus is they generally replicate themselves. It means they will create multiple copies of themselves. Let's say you download an image file which contain a virus, right? Whenever you open that image file,
Like inheritance.
like an inheritance. Inheritance is a different thing. It will replicate itself. It will just create multiple copies of
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
Like you download an image file, when you open it for once, it will create multiple copies of itself.
Yeah.
right? That we call it replication. The virus generally replicate itself. It will create multiple copies of itself, right? Then after this application, we have one more feature here. That was your all the viruses needs human infection. It means, let's say you download an image file which contain a virus. It will not harm your system unless you open that image file. You can download a virus just by downloading, it will not harm your system, right? It will, in fact, it will harm your system when you execute it. When you open that image file, only then it will harm your system, right? So all the viruses needs human interaction.
Need human interaction, right?
They need human interaction.
Like a click, like send, like something like this, you're right.
Yeah, something like this one. Unless you click on that virus, it will not harm your system, right?
Yeah.
Other than this, we have same functionality like data corruption and replication. We have the same features in our worms.
Yeah.
Worms have the same features like virus. The only difference here is a worm can corrupt your data. That's correct. A worm can replicate itself. That's correct. But they don't need any kind of human interaction. They don't need human interaction. They act as a logic bomb. Like you open that image file, it will not harm your system directly. It will wait for a particular logic. Let's say you download the image file few days back. Let's say you download that image file on 1st of May.
Yeah.
Right? You open that image file on 2nd of May. It will not harm your system unless the date will be like 16th of May. And it will wait for the particular logic to be completed. Right? Logic could be anything. Logic could be anything, but it will wait for that particular logic to be completed. Only then it will infect your system. Right? So they don't need human interaction. They act as a logic bomb. If that particular logic was completed, they will execute themselves and they will harm your system. Right? They don't need human interaction. They will automatically execute themselves. Right? So the second difference between your viruses and worms were a virus can replicate itself. That's perfect. But they can only replicate themselves in your local network. Let me just write it down here. They can replicate, but they can replicate themselves inside their local machine, inside their local network. They cannot replicate themselves in external network. They can only replicate themselves in the same machine or in the other machine, but in the same network. They can create multiple copies of themselves, but in the same machine or machines in the same network. But they cannot move outside of that network, right? That was the main feature of the virus. Now, if I talk about worms, even they can replicate, but they can also replicate themselves in local machine, right? In local network, and they can replicate themselves in external network as well.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the main difference between your worms and a viruses.
So this is dangerous than the virus.
Yeah. Somewhat viruses and worms were similar. Somewhat they were similar. Like both were used to corrupt your data, both replicate themselves. But the difference is your worm is the advanced version, you can say, for the viruses. Worms don't need any kind of human interaction. They act as a logic bomb and they will automatically execute themselves whenever that particular logic will be completed. Right? Second thing will they can replicate themselves in external networks as well. They can replicate in local machine, in local network, as well as they can replicate in external network. Right? After this simple worms and viruses, now let's move toward our ransomware. Ransomwares are the basic softwares. Let's say let's say you create a software which was used to encrypt your data. Right? But if you are encrypting the data with the permissions, if you are encrypting the data with the proper permission, whenever a user wants, you encrypt the data. That's perfect. That's not a malware. But if you are encrypting the data without user permission, if you are encrypting that data without user permission, or for the decryption, if you're asking for the money for the decryption, let's say you have some files. Ransomwares are the software which encrypt your data without permission and then ask for the money for the decryption. Because we know, like, we can encrypt our data with two different methods. We can encrypt our data with two different methods. First one, we can encrypt the data with symmetric key, right? Where same secret key was used for encryption and decryption, right?
Yeah, yes, you're right. The key, it's the same for encryption and decryption. You're right.
Yes. Second thing was asymmetric, where keys were
Public key and private key. Yeah.
public key and private. All your ransomwares will encrypt the data with the asymmetric key encryption algorithm, right? It means they will encrypt the data with the private key. And for the decryption, they generally use public key, right? Let's say I encrypt your data with my private key, right? Then you need my public key for decryption. But what if I ask you for the money for the decryption key? You have to pay me the money.
Yes.
Only then you will get the public key for the decryption, right? And what if your encryption include your sensitive files? At that time, you will for sure pay me the money, right? If that encryption includes your sensitive files, then you will pay me the money, 100%. You will pay me the money, right? This kind of software which encrypt your data without your permission with asymmetric key encryption, and then ask for the money for the decryption key. These kind of softwares were known as ransomware. They simply encrypt your data and then ask for the money for the decryption.
Yeah, this is ransomware. It's working by a code or exe file or what?
All these malwares works with the help of exe file because in Windows operating system we have few extensions which can be executed. Like in our Windows, which we can only execute our bat file, we can execute our exe file, we can execute our MSI file. We have a complete list of executable extensions. Like we cannot execute our MP4 file, we cannot execute our JPG file. These extensions were generally used. Whenever we click on the image file, we just view that data. We were not executing any kind of code. We were just reading that data. A JPG file contains the pixel data, right? Whenever we click on an image file, we were just analyzing that data. We were not processing it. We were not processing it. We were just reading that data, right? Whenever we open a PDF file, we were just reading that text content. We were not processing it. We were just reading it, right? All the processing part were done by some specific extension, like the exe part, the MSI part, the BAT part. These kind of extensions were executable on your Windows. If I talk about the Linux part, again, it depends on the distribution, but we have some common extension like ELF is one of them. We have some other extension like SH is one of them, which can be executed in any kind of Linux operating system, right? So all your malwares were generally created with that extension, right? All your malwares were created for the extensions which can be executed. If you are working with Windows, malwares will be created for your exe file, right? What you can do, you can just bind your image file with your exe file. Like when you execute, when you click on that exe file, the output will be a exe file. Again, output would be a exe file. But when you execute that exe file, right, it will execute that malware operations. Then it will show you the image file. It will execute the operations in the back end and show you the image file. It will work like an image file, but on the back end, it will perform that malicious task.
Yeah.
You can combine, you can merge a malware with any file, right?
Yeah.
You can find them. After that part, So we were discussing about the ransomwares. Ransomwares were just simple common software which encrypt your data without your permissions and then ask for the money. We call it ransom money, or we generally call it extortion money. You can also call it.
Mm.
That was ransom money, or you can also call it extortion money. Right?
Yeah.
So this kind of softwares were known as ransomwares. After this ransomware, we have one more type of Trojans. We call them, sorry, we have one more type of malwares. We call them Trojans. Trojans were again the simple malware, but they were just combined with a valid file. Let's say you bind your malware with a PDF file. It will act as a PDF file, but on the back end, it will execute its malicious operations.
Yeah.
Right? These kind of malwares were generally known as Trojans, which simply hide their actual intent. They simply hide their malicious intent, you can say.
This Trojans is like I read it about. It's like it's a real story that is. This is Trojans people coming in the camp and the horses, and they are showing that is with the same city or the same. Yeah, exactly. And they are when they are open the door, the gate for them, and they are become other people. So this is like a war. I read the story.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
word, that term Trojan was derived from that story.
yeah, exactly.
That word, that term Trojan was derived from that story. This was the, you can say, this is one
Yeah,
of the picture for that story. You can just go with that video as well. I will share that link. You already know, but if you want, you can just go with that video, right? But again, that term, that Trojan term, was derived from that Greek story again, right? But the only point of Trojan is they actually hide their malicious intent.
mm,
That they just hide their malicious intent. These kind of softwares were known as Trojans, right? Again, we have different kind of Trojans out there. If I just go with types of Trojans here, first type of Trojan was known as command shell Trojan. Command shell Trojan. These kind of Trojans were generally used to give a remote connection, to establish a remote connection between the victim machine and the attacker machine. They will simply give you a remote connection,
mm.
but a CLI based remote connection
It's
for
not
the
like
victim machine.
boss is not like the ransomware. يعني is not near from the ransomware function.
Ransomwares were specifically designed to encrypt the data,
Mm,
but Trojans were specifically designed to get a remote shell, to perform any malicious action, to
mm.
pass your traffic. We have different. A
Yes.
Trojan can act as a ransomware. A
Okay.
Trojan can act as a ransomware, but a ransomware cannot act as a Trojan.
Yes. 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 You're right.
With the Trojan, you can perform the actions of ransomware.
Mm,
But let's say you create a Trojan, right? If you bind it with the image file, if you bind it with any valid
mm,
PDF file, right? You are creating a Trojan by a ransomware. First, you will design a ransomware to encrypt that file, to encrypt the user data without permission. You create a ransomware, and then you will bind it with a valid file. When you are binding that ransomware with a valid file, at that time you are creating a Trojan so that you can hide your malicious intent, right?
okay.
Whenever you are binding your file and whenever you are hiding your intentions, we generally call it Trojan,
Yes.
right? So you can perform the work for your ransomware with the help of a Trojan, but you can perform if you want, right? So first type of Trojan was your command shell Trojan, which were generally used to get a remote connection, to get a remote shell for that victim machine, right? Second type of Trojans were generally known as proxy server Trojans,
Like redirect.
like redirect path. You are just redirecting all your traffic to your victim's machine.
You're
You can
right.
perform any kind of operation out there. You can
Yes.
perform any kind of attack
Yeah.
on that path, right? You are just using the victim machine as your proxy server. Now, the
Let's
third type
say
of
let's say
yes,
the DNS attack, it's under the Trojan will be.
yes, you can perform the
Yeah,
DNS part with the Trojan.
yeah.
You can perform this. So the third type of Trojans were your botnet Trojan, where you compromise multiple machines. You will just command them and they will perform that action. Like you are the master and they will just wait for your command and they will perform that task.
Mm.
You just command those compromised machines, right? And if you are using any kind of Trojan, if you are using any kind of Trojan to compromise multiple machines, right, and create a separate network for those compromised machines, so you can command them at the same time. You can command all those compromised machines at the same time, right? That type of Trojans were known as botnet Trojans, which were used to create a network of robots, right? So whenever you command them, they will simply perform that action. Simple, right? After botnet, we have one more type of Trojan that was your RAT. We call it remote access Trojan. If I go with RAT are one of the most advanced malware. A
Yeah.
RAT can perform all the actions for all kind of malwares. A RAT can give you a remote connection. A RAT can give work as a proxy server Trojan. A RAT can work as a botnet Trojan. A RAT can work as a ransomware. RAT can work as a virus, keylogger, spyware, rootkit, any kind of Trojan, any kind of malware, right? RAT is one of the most advanced type of malware, right? We have different functionalities for the RAT. You can perform all kind of operations with the help of RATs, right? So they were just most advanced version of malware.
Yeah.
So you can perform almost any action over that with the help of that RAT. You can just even chat with that victim. You can just disable his registries. You can just restart his system. You can just bind that malware
Yeah.
with the startup. You can just perform different operations with the help of a RAT. They were the most advanced version, right? After that RAT, we have one more kind of malware. We generally call it keyloggers. And you know, keyloggers were used to record all your keystrokes, right? These are the softwares which were used to record all your keystrokes. Whenever you press a key on your physical keyboard, these softwares will record them and store them in a safe file, in a separate file, right? So these kind of softwares which record your keystrokes and store them in a separate file were known as keyloggers, right?
Mm. Okay.
They simply record your keystroke, right? After this keylogger, we have the advanced version. For the keyloggers, we call it spywares, which were
Mm.
generally used to record your keystrokes, your mic, your camera, and even your screen as well. A spyware can record your keystrokes, can record your mic, can record your camera, and also it can record your screen, right?
Mm.
After that, spywares, we have one more type of malware. We generally call it rootkit. Now, the point with rootkit, they were different kind of malware. Why they were different? Because they were generally used to get a remote connection. They were specifically used to get a remote connection. But
Yeah.
the point here is they will always give you the remote connection, but with the admin permissions. They will establish a remote connection, but with the admin permissions, right? So you always act as an admin user. You never act as a normal user. You always get the permission privileges of an admin or a root user, right?
Mm.
So you can perform any action over that machine, right? These kind of softwares, which will always give you a remote connection for that victim machine, but with the admin permissions. These kind of softwares were known as rootkit, right? So they simply provide remote connection with admin privileges, right? Now, After these common types of malware, we have one more thing which we need to know. That was like, I hope you know how these malwares were propagated. Like you can just transmit them with the help of your emails. You can just transmit them with the help of your pen drives or any kind of storage device, or you can even upload them on a website with a different name. Let's say I create a ransomware and I will upload it with the name Free Quick Heal Crack. Right? I will upload it as like a crack for Avast Antivirus Pro. I can use any name and I can upload it somewhere, right? And if my victim download it, it will act as a ransomware, simply, right? So you can easily upload it somewhere, or you can just compromise your victims, right? So you can just upload it somewhere. So you can just send it through emails. You can send it through simple file sharing systems. You can send it through removable devices, or you can just even send them personally if you want, right? Now, after this, let's go with basic antiviruses, how your antiviruses work and how they prevent you from these kind of malwares, right?
Yeah.
So let's start with antivirus. So antiviruses are the software which prevents you from these kind of malwares, right? They simply prevent you from these kind of softwares. So what's going on? Okay, they prevent you from malwares. Now, the point is we have different types of antiviruses as well, right? Some of them, let me just go with the types first. Types of antivirus, right? If I
Mm.
go with types here, the first type of antiviruses were like they were categorized as per their working. Some of the antiviruses work with signature base. They just use a database. What they will do, what this signature based antivirus is, they simply store the hash value for the malware. Let's say I have a virus
Mm.
with the name ABC virus.
Like
Let's say I
ID.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, like ID. They will simply create a hash value for that malware and store it in the database, right?
Mm.
And whenever you use them to scan your files, they will again calculate the hash for your file and compare it with
With
the
the,
hash value in the database for the equality,
yeah, right.
right? And if they get a match, they will simply alarm you for your file that this
Yes.
file contain a malware or this file
Malware.
is a malware,
You're right. Excellent.
right?
Excellent.
They simply compare the hash value for your file with the hash value in the database for
This
their
is the
equality.
traditional antivirus. You're right.
They were just traditional antivirus.
Yeah, it's not
They were
next generation antivirus. You're right.
they were not invention part.
Yeah.
They simply work with your signature based techniques,
Very
right?
nice.
Second type of antivirus is what we call them behavior
Yeah, you're right. Machine learning.
based antivirus,
Yeah.
right? They simply create a sandbox environment. They simply create a sandbox environment for your file and they will execute it. If like we have the image file, they will simply read the data in a sandbox environment, right? If it act as a malicious operation, let's say they just have a list of behavior. Like if any file gives a remote connection, if any file encrypts our data, if any file replicates itself, we have a proper list of different behavior. We have a list of behavior for these kind of malwares, right? We have different behaviors. Like a virus generally corrupt our data, replicate itself, right? A ransomware simply encrypt my files without any kind of permission. Trojan simply can be used for a reverse connection, for a proxy server Trojan, for a botnet part. Rats can be used for any kind of operations. Keyloggers simply record your keystrokes. So these kind of behavior, a proper list for these kind of behaviors will be used in your behavior-based antivirus. So they will simply create a sandbox environment in your machine and then analyze all your files in that sandbox environment for that behavior, right? And if any of your files will trigger that behavior, they will simply alarm you that this file could be a virus or this file is a malware, simply,
The
right?
zero day attack here.
they can prevent you from zero-day attacks as well.
Mm.
Like let's say if we have a new kind of malware in the market, your behavior-based antiviruses can prevent you from these kind of new malwares. But your signature-based antiviruses cannot prevent you from these kind of new malwares in the market because your behavior-based antiviruses will simply analyze the behavior of
Mm.
that file, right? But your signature-based antiviruses will just compare the signature for that file with the database,
Yeah, this
right?
depending
For,
is this depending is it updated or not? You're right.
yeah, it depends. It depends,
Mm.
right? So it depends, like the database was updated or not. If the database contains the particular signature for that malware, it will simply alarm you. Otherwise, your malware can easily bypass this kind of signature-based antivirus.
You're right.
Simple, right? So I hope it's clear. Like this is the basic theoretical portion for the malware. Now we can
Yes.
just jump to our practical part. And again, one more thing, the simple, like you can just create any kind of software, but again, whenever you are designing a malware, even put a simple copy command. A simple copy command could be a malware, or a simple delete command could be a malware. Again, it depends where you are executing that command. Let's say, like I will create a simple calculator, right? And with that calculator code, let's say this is my code, like sum equals to like a plus b, right? This was my code. And somewhere, let's say, let's go with multiply as well. Multiply equals to a multiply b, right? I have some multiple functions out there. Let's go with divide as well. Divide equals to a by b, right? I will simply create a I will simply create a calculator, right? But somewhere in that code, what I will do, I will just execute the delete command for the local drive C for the folder like user. So let's go with the username. Let's go with Siddharth as well. Then again, you can use any name, or you can use like asterisk here, right? And if your victim execute that file, it will execute this command as well. It will execute the delete command for that specific folder C user and this one as a wildcard.
Mm.
This command will simply delete all the files from this location C user, and this folder will be removed. Simple, right? So even a delete command could be a malware, or even a copy command could be a malware. So let's say, like with that function, what I can do, I can just use this kind of command. Like let's go with while true loop. I will create a loop simply, right? And then let me just give it some space. Or let's say I can just execute my copy command, like create copy, right? Copy of what? First of all, let's create a file like echo. I will use some text here, like this is junk file, and I will store it inside a file like abc underscore junk dot txt, right? This command, this echo command will simply create a text file, or
Mm.
you can use this command before that while loop, or you can use it with this while loop as well, right? So after this, what I will do, I will simply create a copy. Like I will use copy command for this abc underscore chunk dot txt. I can use any name again. I can use abcd, right? Or I can use some mkdir command as well to create some folder. Like for that part, I can use percentage random and this one, right? I can use percentage random to create random folders as well, right? Or if you want, you can just go with the command like mkdir abcd. I will create a folder with the abcd name. I will change my directory to this folder abcd, and then I will execute these commands one by one repetitively, right? So if this command will be executed like 1,000 times, this command will simply create 1,000 copies for this file abc underscore junk.txt, right? And if it will keep on executing, let's say it executes for like this number. If it executes for this much,
Mm.
right? It can easily consume your disk space. It can easily consume your disk space, I'm sure.
Yes, buffer,
right?
then like buffer overflow.
It's not like buffer overflow. You are just creating multiple copies of a file so
Okay.
that you can consume disk space.
Yeah.
You are not providing some junk to the data. You are not providing any kind of junk out there. Just forward this word junk,
Yeah.
right? You are just creating multiple copies of a
Mm.
single file so that you can consume more and more disk space, right? You are just creating multiple copies of files. You will create a folder, you will again move into that folder, and then again you will create one more file. You will again create a copy, and then again create one more folder, again change the file, again change that folder, and then again execute that file, right? So if you can execute this kind of command for like 1,000 times, for like 10,000 times, for like 1 million, 1 billion times, with these things you can easily consume your space,
Mm.
right? So just copy this code and let's execute this one. Just copy this one and let's try to execute this in our Windows machine, right?
Yes.
Just
Yes.
open our notepad. For before this part, let's go with simple delete command. Then you can also execute the delete commands as well with simple notepad files. But before that, let me create some files in my folder. Let's go with this one. I'm going with this document folder. Just
Mm.
copy the address for this file. Just copy this one, copy as path, and let's execute our delete command. So I'm just going with delete, paste your address, and I'm deleting my files from this folder document, right? And just go with star. Star was used as a wildcard. We all know that part. Like it will simply perform this operation for all the files, right? Just save this command, or you can use any extension. Like if you stored
Or
that
batch
file in
or batch
sorry,
or batch file, right?
yeah, you can also use the batch file. Like let's
Yeah.
go with malware
Yeah.
code.bat,
Yeah.
right? Just create that file and let's save this one. Yes, I want to replicate this one, and we got our file in that same folder with the name malware, right? Now, whenever you execute this file malware, it will delete all the files in that same folder. Let me just create some files first. I'm just going with some simple TXT files. Just copy it and let's create some copies for the same file. So in this folder, in this document folder, let's say we have 22 items, right? When you execute this program, just because this is a simple delete command, you don't have any operation like /y just to go for yes or no. If you just remove this one, this will simply prompt you for yes or no, like you want to delete these files or no. It will
Mm.
simply ask you, right? But with this /y, you can directly go with yes. I want to delete this file, right?
Excellent.
Just go with
Excellent.
yes, and it will automatically delete all the files from that folder document. Right? So even a delete command could be a malware, or even your copy command could be a malware. If I just replace this command with my command from hero, let's write this command.
Mm.
Like let's go with while true, and let's go with echo. Let's just go with any text file here. Just
Yeah.
go with like this is text file. Full stop. And the store it with the name abc.txt. Now, let's create a folder mkdir with the name abcd and just move it inside the folder cd abcd. Right? I will simply,
Sir, if you don't mind, this
yes,
language, what is kind of this language? Is it what?
what is this language? You can use any language again. It's not limited for anything. You can also use some Python language. You can use any kind
Mm.
of BAT language. You can use any kind of C language. But again, your choice.
Yeah.
You can use any language. But the point is you need to create an executable file. You need to create some operations which can be performed on that device.
Yeah.
But if you just go with simple Python out there, if you're not familiar with the BAT, just don't go with BAT. Just go with Python here. Just go with while, true. Again, command system was same. Just go with space, and then just what we call it. Write down your command. Right. To create a file, you can also use some commands out there, which
Mm.
I don't know which commands you have to use for creating a file. Let's just look out there. We need to use some libraries as well. Okay. And we also need to install our Python as well. But again, you can use any language. It's not limited to BAT or it's not limited to anything. Right? But again, the main point, my main objective was just to show you, like even any kind of command could be a malware. A delete command could be a malware, a copy command could be a malware. Again, it depends on your intention. Like if you are writing some code with your malicious intention, you can easily create a malware, right? Or any kind of command could be used as your malware. Let's say you simply use a boot command. You simply use the command reboot, right? You just store it with the name malware. And if you execute this one, let me just check, will reboot our system or not. Just go with the document and let's execute this. No. But again, if this reboot command will simply restart my system, what you can do, you can just add this file. Let's say, let's just forward this reboot and just go with the simple malware. That was your fork bomb. That malware was known as with the name fork bomb, right? In this kind of malware, we generally create our null process. We simply create a null process, right? And we will loop it. We will loop our null process part. We will keep on creating null processes. We will keep on creating our null process so that we can consume more and more memory. We can create more and more process so that our CPU, we can consume our CPU as well. We can consume our memory as well, right? Our simple RAM memory. Right?
What about bomb? This one, what it will do?
It will simply like consume all your resources. Let me just show you. Just close everything. Just minimize this one, and let's just go with the most simplest malware, that was your fork bomb. I'm using my task manager here. My system was running perfectly normal, like 39, 4%, somewhere. Memory consumption was 50%, right? CPU was normal, right? What I can do, I can just use these four characters, like %0 was used to create a null process, right? This pipe was used to loop this process and pass the output for this command on the left hand side as the input for the command on the right hand side, right? This pipe was used to loop this command, to loop these operations, and it will also pass the output for this command as the input for this command, right? And %0 was used to create a null process. It will keep on creating null processes so that we can crash our system. It will simply consume all your CPU power, all your memory power, right? And when your CPU was 100% consumed and when your memory was 100% consumed, your system will crash. Simply, the system will crash, right? So just save this file with the name malware.patch. Now my CPU was running perfectly fine, and I'm going to execute this malware.patch file. So just double click on this file, and you can see my CPU consumption was somewhat increased. Okay. You can just check the file name first. You just go with. Just give me a second. What's going on?
Boss, it will make it as a loop or no?
It will make the loop. It will make the loop. Just give me a second. What happened to this? Delete this file. Let me turn on the Defender. Close this, and let's go with Notepad. Let's go with the file again. So %0, 5%0. Store this file as malware.bat and store it. Okay, where is the malware? Let's go with the desktop. I'm going to save this file again. Save it. My Defender was working. And let's go to desktop. This is my file malware.bat. When I execute this one, let's just check the processes first. Like Microsoft Edge is consuming some memory. If we close this, close your Microsoft Edge. CPU was normal now. Memory was 41% consumed. Okay. Let's just execute this file. Right? When you execute this file, you can see my CPU consumed. My CPU was 100% consumed. My memory was 100% consumed. It will simply crash my system within just seconds. Right? And you can see my system was crashed. I cannot perform any action out there.
Yeah.
Or if this kind of file, or if you just bind this malware.bat file with your startup, you bind this file with your startup, right? Your victim will boot his machine, will restart his machine, and again with the boot up, your file will be executed, and again he have to restart the machine. Again he will restart, that file will again execute, and again he have to restart. So you can just loop this thing. You can just execute this kind of file with the startup. You can just execute this malware on the startup, right? And for the startup, just let me restart this machine. Just restart.
And it will stop the command.
It will simply stop the system. It will simply crash the system with the boot up. Right? Let me just bind that file with the boot up for the startup part.
Yes.
So just let this machine execute. Okay. But before that, let me create a snapshot as well.
Yeah.
So let me just check. We have a snapshot. That's perfect. Flash window. Not a problem. So what you can do, just copy this file and place it in that folder. Just go with like local drive C. Go with Windows. I forgot the location for the particular. Let's go with user. Go and let's go with hidden file. Nope. I forgot the location. Program data. And here we have the startup. Let me just search here for the startup. We have a folder with the name startup. You need to place that file in the startup folder. I forgot the location, but you can also search here like startup folder in Windows.
You need to know the places.
We need to know the place. This place is common for all the. This place is common for all the Windows operating system.
Yeah,
just copy this location and you can place your file in that folder. Right? You can just paste your malware here. Just copy it from here. Just copy and let me paste. When you paste this file, right? You can verify this thing that this file will be executed with the startup or not. Just go with right click on the taskbar. Just go with task manager. Here we have a tab for the startup and you can verify this thing like this malware.bat file will be executed with the startup, right? And if you just restart your machine, your malware will be automatically executed, right? This will easily crash your machine. Whenever this malware will be executed, it will crash your machine just by consuming all your memory part. You can see nothing is working right now. I cannot even close this one. Minimizing, closing, nothing was working.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All you can do is you can just restart your device. Nothing else. You cannot perform any kind of operation. You can just restart your device. And if you restart your device, that will again execute that malware and again you need to restart. When you restart, the malware will be executed again and again you have to restart. You cannot do any operation on that machine. Right? At that time, your victim can only restore his system to a specific restore point, or he can only install a fresh window, right? So just wait for a second and it will restart
Yes.
and it will automatically execute that malware.
In the start.
So just, yeah, within just few seconds,
Yeah.
right?
Excellent.
You
Fantastic
can,
lesson. Today is fantastic lesson, really. Yeah.
so here we can go. Like,
I will apply with all of my brother's machines.
you can just crash all their machines within
Yeah,
few
I will tell
seconds.
him be careful. يعني don't use antivirus. I am here.
Even
See,
then, if you are using antivirus, even then you can just create this kind of files.
you're right. Yes, because
My
it's
defender, my
yeah.
defender was active. My defender was still active.
Yes, you're
Okay,
right.
just go
See,
with defender. My defender was active.
yeah, it's built in.
So you just turn on the defender. It doesn't store. It will not
Yeah, because
identify this one
it's
as a
not
malware
defined in his database. You're right,
database.
or signature. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, this antivirus doesn't have the signature for this malware file.
You're right.
Right? So you can easily create this kind of malware. It will simply crash your system. cmd.exe application error, and it will not go anywhere. You can just go with task manager and you can verify like the CPU was somewhat consumed. Okay. But mostly it will crash your system.
Yeah,
In most of the cases, it will crash your system, right? But in this case, we got our error out there. But again, if you have this error, you will for sure restart your system. If I just restart it again, even power of options were not working.
yes.
I can
You
only go with the hard
need
reset.
to turn it off by force.
Yeah, you need to just go with the hard reset
Yeah.
part.
Have a nice week.
So other than this simple core bomb, you can also use some other different softwares as well to create any kind of virus, to create any kind of worm, right? You can use some different softwares as well. Let me just transfer those files in my Windows 10 attacker machine out there.
Yeah.
Just go with the files and let me paste them here. Okay,
Yeah, right.
this location, my malware was executed, and now my machine hangs up.
Yeah.
Nothing was working. Not even right click. Okay, it's very slow,
Yeah, right.
very slow. Right? All you can do is you can just restore your machine to a specific restore point, or it will crash your machine. Right? Let me just revert back that machine state, restore it to a fresh Windows machine.
Yeah.
Okay, this was my simple normal Windows machine. Right? Just I'm just okay. Just store all your malware in that document folder. Let's just copy them again. Where is the folder?
Yeah.
Copy it and let me paste them here. You already have the link for this folder for this zip file,
You're right.
right? Just extract them, download them in your virtual machine. Don't download them in your main machine. And before extracting, just disable your antivirus,
You're right.
right? Otherwise, your defender will simply remove all these files. Or you can do one more thing. Just search here for group policies.
You're right.
Just go with this group policies here, and you can permanently disable that antivirus or you can be defender. Just go with administrative template here. Just go with Windows component, and here you will got the option for Microsoft Defender antivirus, right? So you can also disable the application guard or exploit guard as well if you want. If you are using this machine as a attacker machine, then you should disable these things. And Defender was a must, right? Turn off Microsoft Defender, enable. Okay. Now you can also go with some options here like real-time protection. Just turn off real-time protection and turn off. Now, other than this simple Defender, you can also go with like Defender guard as well. Let me just check where we have the option for disable part. Turn off. We don't have any option for disabled. Not a problem. Just go with exploitation protection. Okay, we don't have any option out there, but not a problem. You can just go with simple
in
computer
area or user area.
All the options were available here for the Windows component. It was the computer area.
Yeah, maybe in the user area. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like user area, let me just check. User area, Microsoft. No, we don't have Microsoft Defender out there. Windows Defender Smart Screen was here. You can disable that Smart Screen, but we don't have option for disable Smart Screen as well. Yes. So you can just disable that Defender from the computer area. Just go with administrative template, follow Windows component, and then follow your Microsoft Defender antivirus. Just open it and just disable it from this option. Turn off Microsoft Defender antivirus. And just double click here and enable this option to turn off your Microsoft Defender, right? After this, you can just extract all your files and folders. You just go here. This means you can see this setting was managed by your administrator. You cannot even turn on this Defender.
This sometimes when I'm doing on my domain controllers, like group policies.
You can perform this action on the domain controllers as well.
Excellent.
So after disabling this Defender, you can just go with right click here and extract this zipped file. It will give you access to all your files and folders for the malware. It contains some virus makers, it contains some worm makers as well, and it also contains some RAT files as well, which you can use for the reverse connection, for the remote connection, right? So let's go with all these files one by one. So we will start with virus, then we move toward worm. Again, virus makers and worm makers were same. You just have to select those configurations, like what option you want. You just need to select that option. Just go with the tool, and we have the option for virus makers here. Just open this JPS virus maker, and let me just magnify here. So the options were very small here. Okay, now I hope it's visible. So all you have to do is just select the option you want to perform with that malware, right? You can just disable Notepad, you can disable WordPad, you can disable registry, disable MS Config, you can just disable anything you want. And so you can disable all the things so that your victim cannot perform any operation on his device, right? So just go with all the things if you want. I'm going with all the things we can do. It's our malware, we can just customize it however we want, right? So after this part, just go with this option, create virus, click here, and you go to your virus with the name server.exe file, right? After this, all you have to do is
as an image file is showing like image file.
The icon was used for the image file.
But this application,
Yes, icon says it's the image file, but actually it's the exe file. If you just go with the extension, just go with view, go with file extensions, you can see it's the executable file. But the thumbnail says it's the image file, right? So all you have to do is just send this file to your victim. Right now, I'm just going with copy. Just copy this file and let's paste this one in our Windows 8 victim machine, right? But before executing this malware here, let me create a snapshot so we can revert back our changes here. Right? So just go with snapshot as
for latest good.
Again, you can use any name. All good. Just Take a snapshot.
Excellent.
Just wait for a second. It starts hanging up. Okay. So just copy that exe file and send it to your victim, right? And now we have our victim here with the name 8 victim, right? So just save that file here.
Or
So send that
send,
file to your victim.
yeah, or send by email to any user to run it up, and then he can kill his machine.
Yes, you can kill his machine. So you can send this file with any method you want. Like you can send this file with the email. You can send it.
Yeah, upload it to any link like this and make it as a link and like this. Yes, you're right. You're right. This is
Yes,
many
you can.
way for the voice.
Yes, we have different methods which you can use to send this file to a victim, right?
Yeah.
So right now I'm just using copy paste here. So I will copy that file from my Windows 10 machine and I will paste that file here, right? And I got that file with the name server.exe. If my victim execute that file, operation did not complete successfully because the file contain a virus or potentially unwanted software.
Windows
One
Defender,
more
Windows
thing,
Defender, yeah, Windows Defender
Windows
is.
Defender. One more thing about Defender is all your malwares, like all your antiviruses. Let me just clean up this thing. All your antiviruses can one more thing, like your signature-based antiviruses and your behavior-based antiviruses also scan the digital certificates for your software. All the softwares which we use, all that software contains some digital certificate so that they can prove their trust, they can prove their authenticity. For that part, they contain some digital certificates, right? And if you're malware, like if you're creating a malware with this kind of software, like JPS and all different kind of software, if you are using to create a malware, they will not sign your application. They will not sign your application, right? And if your executable file, if your software, if your exe file don't have a certificate, don't have a valid certificate, even then your defender will treat that file, treat that exe file as a malware and simply delete that file. If your software don't have any kind of valid digital certificate, at that time it will treat your file, it will treat your exe file as a malware, right? You can just go with any file, just go with this Android Studio, just go with right click, go with properties, and here you can see we have an option, we have a tab for digital certificate, right? Just click on this option, just click on the certificate, just go with detail, and just wait for a second. Okay, in this tab, just follow the advanced version, or you can also go with view certificate. When you click on this view certificate, this will take you to this specific part, and you can verify the certificate here. Like the certificate was issued by Google LLC, and Google LLC was signed by this DigiCert assured ID code signing CA-1.
Yes, big company. This one,
Big company. We have a valid certificate for this kind of software. So you can say for any kind of software, we have a valid certificate. Like if I go with like Atom, if I go with this Putty, if I just go with like
by install it, you mean, right? By install from this one.
Yes, you need to verify your authenticity first. Even then, oh sorry, after verifying your authenticity, your Windows will allow you to execute to install that file, right? Or you can verify this thing for all your exe file. All your exe file, if they were valid, they contain your executable, they contain your digital certificate. This was a jar file. This one is a jar file. It's not an exe file, but again, we have a valid certificate for our exe file.
Yeah, right.
All your exe files contain a digital valid certificate. And just because our malware server.exe don't have any valid certificate here,
You're right. Excellent.
we don't have any valid certificate. That's why
Mm.
your defender will simply treat them as a malware.
Mm.
Right? So what you
Yes.
can do, you can simply disable that malware for a while. So I can show you the effect for that malware, right? Or if what you can do, you can simply sign that malware with a digital certificate so that you can prevent, you can bypass this kind of defender. If you simply sign that exe file with a valid certificate, you can easily bypass those defenders, right? Because it will change the signature for that exe file. And just by changing the signature, you can easily bypass the signature-based antivirus, right? So just go with here and search for Windows Defender. You just go with settings, you just check real-time protection. I will just disable that part, save changes, and now let's paste our file. We got our file with the name server.exe, right? So when I execute this file, if my victim execute this file, all the actions, like all these actions, there is that document, not here. All the operations for that virus maker, like start like disabling all the different things, right? All these actions will be performed. Let me just execute this file and it will perform all the malicious actions on this Windows 8 machine. So you can also use Windows 10 as well if you want. I'm
Yeah.
using Windows 10 out there, or you can use Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows 10. Again, it's your choice which Windows machine you want to use, right? This
Better.
will work on all your victims' machines.
Mm. Sir, I have a small
Yeah.
question. What about if we need to apply by the digital certificate? Because I cannot, for example, I tell the other destination, please disable your antivirus to hack your machine. No, I cannot.
No,
So,
you cannot disable their antivirus. We know that part. So you can
mm,
do one more thing. You can just encrypt your malware and just find the decryptor with that exe file. What you can do, you can use some kind of softwares which were known as cryptors. Cryptors will simply encrypt your file, encrypt your malware, and bind a decryptor. They will simply encrypt your malware, and with that malware, they will bind the decryptor so that whenever your victim open the output file, whenever your victim will open the output file, let's say I have this file server.txt, right? If I want to encrypt this file, right? Let's say I'm using a software jps.txt
mm,
as my scriptor, right? This jps.txt will simply take this file as an input, right? Encrypt it and bind this readme file. Let's say this file was used as a decryptor, right? This file was used as a decryptor. This one is used to decrypt my encrypted data, right? So JPS will simply encrypt this file, find this decryptor with that file, and give me an output with the name. Let's say this will give me output with the
text
name.
file.
You can go with any text file. It can also go with any exe file. The
Mm,
output would be a exe file again. Output would be a exe file. Let's say I got the file with the name malware, right? And when your malware, let's say when your victim will execute that output file, it will first decrypt the malware and then it will execute that malware. And just by encryption, because your malware was encrypted, your signature will be changed, and your signature changed, you can bypass the signature-based antiviruses. If your signature was changed, you can bypass the signature-based antiviruses, right? Your Windows Defender also has the signature for the JPS virus maker. One more thing, your Windows Defender already have the signatures for all your output files for your JPS virus maker,
you're right.
right? But if you use decryptor, if you use some kind of cryptors, if you simply encrypt your file, just by encryption, you can change the signature. And just by changing the signature, you can bypass the signature based antivirus. right? So you don't need to disable their antiviruses. You can just use some kind of you can use some kind of crypto so that you can encrypt your malware and then send it to your victim. If your victim executes that malware, it will first decrypt the actual malware and then execute it for the malicious action, right? So you don't have to disable that so antivirus. Or you can just sign your output file, sign your malware with a valid digital signature, right? You can just use some kind of digital signature software to sign that malware. And just by signing, you can also bypass the signature-based antivirus
Here, a
if you
small
have a
question,
valid
a small
signature.
question
Yes,
here. I can
yes,
assign
yes.
leader certificate for website, for something, but for software, really, I don't know how. I mean, this is first time I hear about this one. For website, yes, I can assign, I can purchase a certificate, I can create CSR file, then I can generate the certificate file. All of this I know it by for the website, for the domains, for the subdomains, the type of for the all the digital certificate. I know it, but for software, really, this is first time I saw it.
Digital signature, digital certificates are also used for your application. Like let's say I develop a software, right? Let's say I'm developing this Android Studio. I
Yes,
will
you're right.
develop that Android Studio and I will just spread it. I will just upload it on my website. But I forgot to sign this software, Android Studio, right?
Okay.
If that application is not perfectly signed,
Mm.
anyone can say like this software was developed by me. Anyone can say like this, I am the actual developer for that Android Studio.
Mhm.
Anyone can say
So
because there is no
you mean
yes,
here it will be automatically will get the certifications when it will be in there in the domain or the website, it will get automatically the certifications because it's under the domain.
no.
So
Like whenever you design a product, let's say you have any product,
yeah,
right? You have some copyright. Let's say like if you write a book,
yes,
if you write a book, you take the ownership. Like I am the actual author for this book.
you're right.
Same way, whenever you develop a software, whenever you develop a product, any
Okay.
software again, you you just take the ownership. Like I am the actual developer. I am the actual organization who developed this software, right? So you take the ownership so that other people cannot say like I am the developer for this software. And one more thing, so that all your systems, all your Windows machines or your Linux machine will treat that software as a valid software. They will simply treat the software as a valid software
Mm.
for that part as well. So that you can just say those machines like this software is not a malware. This is a valid software.
Mhm.
For that part as well, you use your digital certificate
Same.
just to prove your
Yeah.
ownership.
But there is other way by something called authority server. That, for example, in my domain, I have authority server. From this one, I can generate certificate, digital certificate for these applications.
Like if you are the actual developer, if you are the actual owner for that application, you can generate the certificate.
Mm, okay.
But if you are not the actual developer, you cannot generate the certificate. You can generate, but no one is gonna validate that part
Yes, you're right. You're right.
because in the
Will be as
market,
a local. Yes, yes, it will be
because
locally.
you are the local person out
You're right. You're right.
there, right? So certificates were just certificate for the software were generally used for two purposes. First one, to verify the actual developer, verify the actual owner for that file. Second thing was so that your systems, your simple operating system will treat that software as a valid, as a legal software. They will not treat them, they will not treat that application, treat that software as a malware, right? So you can just earn, just to get the trust, just to earn the trust from that operating system, you use the digital certificate, right?
Mhm.
So that your different operating systems will not consider your exe file, your software as a malware.
You're right.
Yeah. So all the software, all these kind of files, like if you go with the ISO files as well, even them, like we don't have the files here,
This is
not a problem. But most of your softwares contain your certificates. If we have the actual owner part here,
Yeah.
but again, for most of the software, we have this digital certificate so that we can prove our ownership. I'm the actual developer for that exe file. So you can verify it for all the different software.
Yeah.
It's not limited to like big companies, not limited to small companies. Digital certificates were available for all kind of software. You can even download the smallest one or you can even download the biggest one. All the softwares contain a valid digital certificate.
Yeah.
If they don't have a valid certificate, your system will treat those files as a malware.
Malware. Yeah.
So you can say your system will simply alert you like this file could contain a malware, right? But
Yeah.
for sure, they will give you a alert,
Yes, for sure.
right?
Except if we are disabled and we will just for testing. يعني.
Yes. So
Okay.
you can, if you want, you can disable it. Otherwise, you don't have to, right? So you can use some valid certificates, or you can use some filters as well to bypass this kind of defenders, or you can use this, right? So right now, just copy this malware again, and let's go with Windows and this machine. Let me just paste it here. 4565 is the password, and let's just save this one here. Okay, we don't have the option for a save. Let's just save this one again. Go with right click, copy, and let's go with paste this time. We got our file. Again, my defenders say like this file contain a
Yes.
virus. So this will simply delete that file. So I have to
disable.
allow on this device. Or you
Allow,
can just
yes.
disable. Or you
You're
can
right.
disable as well. Just go with manage setting part, just
Yeah.
disable that real-time protection, and
Yes.
then you can execute this file. Right? If you execute this file, this will perform all different malicious actions. Or you can also create some other malware for like simple functionality. If I just go with JPS again, you just close one. You can just go with like disable notepad, disable wordpad, disable like Windows, disable taskbar, disable start button, or different actions you can perform, right?
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
just create a file one more time. And
Yes.
right now, I will just execute it in the same machine, right?
Yes.
So let's just open it. And if I go with notepad, notepad is not going to work. Because notepad was disabled
Yeah, right.
by this virus from the registry.
Even
This will just
taskbar.
perform, yeah, they will just and perform these actions from the registries. They will disable your notepad from the registries. They will disable your wordpad from the registries. They will disable the taskbar as well, right? Some of these will work on Windows 7. Some of these will work on Windows 10 as well. Some of these will only work for Windows 8 as well, right? Again, give some dependencies for this kind of malware.
Yeah,
Other
right.
than this virus part, you can also use some other worm maker as well. We have a worm maker as well. We call it Internet Worm Maker again. Options were exactly same. All you have to do is just go with the options, what actions you want to perform, and then just go with create a worm, right? You can name it, you can just go with the author part, you can go with the version, you can just go with a message. If you want to display a message, you can just go with the message as well, right? Or you can just perform this kind of different malicious actions on that victim machine, right? Other than this worm maker, you can also use some rats as well. Here we have frozen types. Just go with rats here. And here we have different rats, one which you can use. One of them was NJ rat. Let me just execute this one. Again, we have some dependencies for the NJ rat. It works with .NET framework. So we
Yeah.
need to download and install it. Let's just do that part. But again, you can use these kind of software. Like they were just simple software which were used to create a malware, to create a virus, to create a worm, or even if you want, you can just go with some basic simple commands for the ransomware. You can easily create a ransomware. All you have to do is just write the basic code for your encryption, or you can just hard code, you can just bind, you can just inject, like you can just add your public key or private key. You can just add any kind of key with that code,
Yes.
right?
Excellent.
Or you can
Excellent.
encrypt the victim data without the permission.
Very nice.
All you need to do is just perform this basic simple coding. Or you can use this kind of software. Or if you just go with the GitHub as well, we have different softwares on GitHub as well, which you can use to perform this kind of malware action. Like if you just search on the GitHub for different malwares, you will get a list of all these kind of malwares. If you search for rats, you will get a list of rats. If you search for virus makers, you will get a list of virus makers. If you search for ransomware, you will get a list of different ransomwares which could be used, right? Again, if you ever face a ransomware attack on your device, you can just go with this website. If you don't have the decryptor, if you don't have the key for that ransomware, you can just go with this website. No more ransom. And here you can look, you can just search for your ransomware type, and you can just download the decryption tool. Just go with this description tool option here, and you can just download the decryption tool for these
all famous ransomware.
Ransomwares you can just download the decryptors for this ransomware.
This encrypt, what is called Creepy Encrypty, what's called the Hiba Encrypty. This one is famous.
We have different ransomware. You can just search here for Creepy.
Yeah, this one is.
We have Creep Accesses.
Yeah, this one is famous.
Quickie was here. Try SYS was here. CoinVault was here. Like CRBR was here. Kerberos. Checkmail 7 was here. We have different one. Again, not all the malwares were included here. They were just a family. Like if you just design a software, if you just design a new malware, just by copying some code and just by making some modification in the code for this, like Big Boss, like Big Bob Ross ransomware. What you will do, you will simply copy the code for this ransomware. You will just modify it a little bit, and you will just create a ransomware again. That was a new ransomware. You can just name the ransomware. You can just give it a new name. But that was the that have the same functionality like this one, Big Bob Ross, right? So we will just categorize them in different families. Like Big Bob Ross is just a family. This Part ransomware is a family. This Checkmail 7 is a family. We have different families out there. These were the main ransomware out there. Like DGBO is a ransomware family. Zobear ransomware is again a family name proper out there. So they were the main ransomware. Right?
So I can change the name and I can play with this ransomware.
Yes, you can play with it.
Yeah, see, I see here the WannaCry. Yeah, this is famous. WannaCry.
This WannaCry was famous. WannaCry fake ransomware.
Yeah, crazy this one.
We have different ransomwares out there. Again, you can create your own ransomware, but again, they were the major families. Like if you have basic functionalities like these ransomware, then this decryptor will work. Like if your ransomware have the functionalities like this Puma ransomware, right? Then this decryptor will work. So according to their family, you can download the decryptor, or according to the name, you can download the decryptor. They will work, right? So we got this dependency here, and now let's execute. Now let's create our malware. Again, in the NGRX, you need to just start a listener on this port number 5552. If you want, you can change it to any port number. It's again your choice. Otherwise, you can just go with the default. Just start a listener first, and then you can just create a executable file for your malware, right? Just go with the builder here at the left bottom. I just go with this builder option here, and you can create a file. Here, all you have to do is just specify your IP address for a reverse connection. Just specify your IP address for your reverse connection. Let's say my IP address was, let me just check what was my IP address here. CMD ipconfig. Just go with 1.15. This was my IP address. I will simply copy it and place it here for a reverse connection. Just place it here, right? And then you can just create your file. You can just name it exe name, or you can specify the directory as well where you want to store that file after execution, right?
Sir, and just, this is a worm. This is a cold worm, right?
This is not a worm. This is a rat. This will give
okay. Sorry.
Rat.
Yeah.
This was a rat.
Raccoon.
Yeah. Just go with the build option here. Click here. It will show you a browser option where you want to store that file. I will store this file on my desktop with the name server.exe. Again, you can use any name. You can use like Windows Update,
Yes, you're right.
Windows Update, or you can also use Windows Activator
Yeah.
for free. And let's
Or
create this exe file.
he will be hurry.
Yeah,
Oops.
and we got our file with the name Windows Activator.exe. Now, all you have to do is just upload this file on your website, and if you're victim, download this Windows Activator.exe file and execute it. It will give you the reverse connection for the victim machine. Right? Just refresh this one, and let me paste that file here. Let me disable the Defender again, so we can just paste our file because it's not signed again. Right? So just probably right click, copy this one here, or we got a reverse connection without even sending that file. We got a reverse connection because we already have this server.txt file here.
Say a small
Okay,
question. This
but
one
this
it will
works.
work with the human interaction, right?
It will work with human interaction. Yes, you have to execute this file for one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like when you have the reverse connection, you can just probably right click here and you can see a list of options, a list of commands you can perform. You can just go with remote desktop part, you can just remote his camera, you can record his mic, you can just download, you can extract the password from the browsers and from the SAM file as well. If your victim was using Windows, you can extract his password from the Windows SAM file, or you can extract his password from browsers as well, right? You can record his keystrokes, you can just chat with the user if you want. Let's say we have this chat blog out there, just go with, okay, you will get this chat part, like chatting with hacker, right? This one was executed on the same machine. Okay, let me just close this and let me save that file here. Paste this file, Windows Activate.txt. Let me execute this one, which will again, okay, we have again dependencies error.
Please, please.
Let me just download the dependencies. Again, most of the malwares have their dependencies. Some of them work with .NET, some of them work with different languages. So we have some dependency errors as well. But you can just trust on your victim. Like he will just download the dependencies to execute your Windows Activator because he wants to activate his Windows for free. That's why he download your malware.
Yeah,
You need to trust him.
we'll see. Me. Now he will activate it forever.
Yeah, it will be activated forever.
I will send it to the Syria.
You can send it to anyone. But again, the main point here is like if you when you're creating a malware, you need
Mm,
to specify your IP address. If your
yes.
IP is publicly accessible, if your IP is publicly accessible, at that
Yeah.
time you can get a reverse connection from outside the network as well. But if your IP address is accessible only in your local network, at that time you will get a reverse connection from your local network only. Again, it depends. You have a public IP or you have a private IP. It
Yes,
depends
yes.
on that part,
You're right. You're right. You're right.
right?
You're right.
But you can get a reverse connection from any machine.
You're right.
It depends on your IP address.
Yeah. And Share, I think this is the one of the hacker tools when they are looking to any network, and he can do like this way, right?
Yes, they can use this kind of malware.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, because you really log in and he can do what he need. Yeah.
It takes long. All right. So if your victim execute that file, Windows activator.exe, it will give you a reverse connection. Just wait for a second and you will get a reverse connection. Everything works perfectly fine. Should give you a reverse connection. And we got our victim machine as 1.21. This was a victim machine, right? You can verify with the IP address. 1.21 is the IP address of my victim machine.
Yeah.
And you can also verify the PC name and the username as well, right? Just go with the right click. And if you want, you can perform this kind of action. You can just remote his desktop. But before that, let me open some files so we can just identify like this was the victim machine. Okay. So the victim machine where we have a desktop and we have a file explorer. All right. Yeah. Just go with the remote desktop and you got a proper remote connection for our victim machine. If you want, you can even control his screen if you want, or if you want, you can just simply analyze his machine. Right? We have the option to stop the recording. If you want, you can control the mouse. If you want, you can control the keyboard, or you can perform different actions as well. Right? You can record his keystrokes as well with this file. Just go with the keyboard to record his keystrokes. If you want to control his mouse, you can control his mouse, or you can perform any actions on his machine.
Sir, right? He cannot prevent me.
He can prevent you. So like if you have this kind of malware attack, what you can do, just go with this command. Just open your CMD and you can verify this thing with a simple netstat. Netstat will simply display you active connections and you can verify this thing. Like I have an active connection with the IP address. Like where is the IP address? 1.17.
15.
Where is 1.15? You don't even have the 1.15?
Maybe desktop.
We have a desktop name. We have the desktop name here.
Yeah, you can know. You know why? Go to 15, please. Go to the 15 and make a host name command in the CMD.
This was my machine name. This was my machine name. We have
this
the desktop name.
Okay, excellent. This 15.
So you can verify the port number 555. This was the machine name. Like so desktop PL.
Yeah.
Yes.
What we can do now? Stop the port or what?
We can just simply block the connection. Or if you want, you can just go with the firewalls as well. Like if you don't want any connection.
Yeah.
This was the case when you have the connection, right? But if you want to prevent, if you want to avoid, if you want to completely avoid this kind of connections, you can just go with the firewall and you can set the rules to block all the connections from your machine. You can block all the outgoing connections. You just go with firewall. Just go with the advanced option. Just go with advanced security.
A create rule. You mean create rule?
And you can,
deny rule.
Yes, you can create a rule for the outbound and outbound rules. Just create a new rule to block all the ports other than this port number 80.
Yes.
Other than this port number 80 and 443, so that you can browse your website.
Excellent.
Right? Just allow those port number 80 and 443 so that you can just access, you can just use your browsers and just block all other ports. If you are not using any other serious services, then just block all the simple ports. And you can easily avoid this kind of malware attacks. Right? You don't have to go anywhere else, just go with this basic simple thing out there. Or if you are using a paid antivirus, even then, the paid antivirus can alert you for these kind of remote connections.
Yes.
They also give you the alert for this kind of reverse connection. Or these firewall rules are the best option.
You're right.
To avoid or to prevent this kind of attack. Right? Yes. But again, you can use this kind of malware to control the screen, to take control over the same machine. Right? If you want, you can just manage, you can just execute some command, you can perform any action here.
Mode camera, get password. Get password. Please click on the get password. What we will find here?
We don't have any valid password.
But he will listen. Browser. He will listen for his browser, right? When he enters something.
Listen for the. Yes. Or if you want, you can just go with the keylogger as well. You can use the keylogger. Right?
Yeah.
And you can see we have the netstat command here.
Yes, you're right.
Netstat, enter. We have this for command. firewall, again enter, again enter. We can also use the keyloggers as well to extract his username and password. To record his key stuff, you can also use the keyloggers.
Yeah.
So you can also execute some commands, you can also record his camera, and all different things can also be performed over his device, right? If you go with the manage part, you can perform different actions. Like you can go with like file manager part, you can go with process management out there, you can manage his connections, you can manage his registries,
Oh
you
my
can go with a
goodness.
remote shell. You can, if you want
We kill his machines.
to
Oh my goodness.
like if you have a remote connection, why you want to kill his machine?
Yeah, exactly.
You want to take advantage. Like for sure you will take advantage.
You're right, yes.
Like
You're
I'm not
right.
sure you want to kill his machine. Like if you have a remote connection for a server, at
Yeah,
that time you can just kill his machine. But I don't think for most of the cases you want to kill his machine, right? But
yeah.
again, you can go with a remote connection and execute the command. Just wait for a second. It's still processing.
Okay.
So you can execute any command out there. You can just reboot his device. You can
You're
perform
right.
anything. Again,
This is crazy
one
software.
one more thing. For all the racks,
Yeah.
they start with the boot up. They start with the boot up. Like if you just
Okay.
restart the device,
Yeah.
this will automatically establish a connection with your machine. You don't have to execute that file. You don't have to wait for the victim to execute that file again. It will
Yeah.
automatically give you remote connection, right? With the boot up, with the startup.
So, say a small question. You mean
Yes.
here, this software, it will be there, even if he restart his machine, it will be automatically run?
Like all you have to do is to send that file to your victim. And if your victim executes that file for one, it will your malware will automatically bind himself in the startup. Your malware will create his multiple copies, will replicate itself because we have RAT. We were using RAT here. And
Uh,
RAT have the functionality for your viruses, for your ransomware, for your Trojan, for your keylogger, for your spyware, and for your rootkits as well.
okay.
Right? Your RAT will automatically create multiple copies of itself, or it will automatically find itself with the startup process.
So you mean in this case, it will be automatically load the software, so I can control him anytime if I can see visible in my network.
Yes, anytime.
Mm.
You don't have to wait for your victim to execute that file again. Just
Yes.
make that with what we call it, uh, convince your victim to execute that file for one. And for that, you can use this kind of name like Windows Activator, Avast. You can use some crack software names as well, or you can use some movie files as well. But if you want to bind them, we have some other racks as well, which can also be used. Some other racks have the functionality for binders as well. Like most of them, not most of them, some of them have the binder functionalities as well. Like if I go with File Explorer, it was disabled right now. Task Manager, this taskbar was completely disabled because of this virus.
Yes.
Because of the virus I have created, it disabled my taskbar. But again, some of the defenders, some of the viruses, if I go with downloads, I have a file, I think. Yeah, this was the file for the Dark Comet. Again, it's a rat. We have different other rats actually, which you can use. Dark Comet is just one of them. Dark Comet has the functionality for the binder, which can bind your malware with any file. You can use any image file, you can use any PDF, any kind of media file as well, right? And it will give you the output as a exe file, so that you can send that file to your victim. And if your victim execute that file, it will give you a reverse connection, right? Just go with the Dark Comet from here. Just open this.
This is, we need to open it from the destination area, from the, let's say, the hacked machine, or what, or from my machine.
You need to use this Dark Comet software on the attacker machine.
Mm-mm.
This
The
will
attacker
again
machine.
give you, yeah, attacker machine. Just use this software on the attacker machine, and it will
Yeah.
give you an executable file.
Yes, yes,
and you
yes.
have to send that executable file to your victim machine.
Yes, published to the affected machine. Yeah.
Yes. Just go with this dart format here. Just go with these options. Select here the server module and just go with full editor part. Here we have the option for network settings where you need to specify your IP address for the reverse connection. You can also go with your IP address as 1.15. Specify the port number with dart format. By default, work with this port number 1604. Just go with add. Specify your IP address, specify the port number, and click on add button. Then just go with this file binder options, right? And here you can browse for the files if you want to bind your malware with any file, right? Just browse for that file. Let me just download an image file first. Just go with Edge. Okay. Let's go with wallpaper. Go with images, and let's download a beautiful image from here. Let's go with this one. And yeah, let's just save this file. Go with right click, save image as. You can save this file anywhere you want. I will save that file in, let's go with download folder and save this file. I got the image file now. I can bind my malware with that image file. Just browse for that file. Go with downloads. Go with that image file. Open it and add it with the paste. Then go with this option, build the stuff. Right? It will again ask you for the location where you want to store that file and which name you want to store that file. I will go with again.
Desktop.
Yes.
You need to store in desktop.
Okay, you can store on the desktop as well. Go with desktop and let's go with the file name with like crack quick heal 360.
Yeah.
Right? And just save this file.
Yeah.
It will give you the output. Crack quick heal, or we have some options for our icon part as well. If you want to use some icons, you can also use some icons here if you want. Right? So after creating your file, just start the listener. You have to start the listener first. Just go with listen to a new port and specify your port number here and start listener. You can verify the listener here on the socket tab. And then just send this file to your victim. Just copy this one and I'm sending this one to my victim here and I will paste it. Okay. You have the correct version for the QuickHeal 360. And if you execute this file, this will work as an image file. It will work as an image file.
Sir, again, please go back for this one. Just
okay.
I'm sorry, because I want to with you.
So I just copy that file from here.
To understand, yeah.
You just copy this file from here
to the infected
and
machine.
Send it to your victim machine.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. You got the file here.
Yes.
With the name. And if you execute that file, the victim execute that file, it will work as the image file. They will got that image.
Yes.
Or you can use this kind of binder software. You can use this software to bind any file. You can bind your malware with any file. It's not limited to image file. It's not limited to image file. You can use PDF. You can use media files. You can use any kind of
file. You are right. Yes, you are right.
You can use any file.
Yes, you are right.
So you can use this kind of file binders as well to bind two different files and create a single output. Or you can use some other external file binders as well, right? Because we have some other problems with the dark format. It works sometimes and sometimes it will not work. But again, you can use these binders functionalities as well. And some other malwares also have this kind of binder functionalities. Some other rats we have out there in that link. You can just download other racks, and they have this binder functionality which you can use. Nginx don't have that binder functionality, but again, you can use it for the simplest part.
Yeah.
And go with the simplest part, right?
Sir, small question.
Yes.
And the other software now, the last software are using, how we can trace the infected machine? How we can know it? If you can go please back to the.
This one.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So you can do one thing simply. Just go with right click on the task manager. And if you have a reverse connection, if your machine was compromised,
Yes.
the simplest thing was just analyze your network here. Just analyze your network. If your machine was compromised and you are not using any kind of software which was using your internet, if you are not using any kind of software which interacts with the internet, like if you are not using any kind of browser, any kind of other software to synchronize your data, any kind of Windows update was not working, even then, if your data, if your machine was sharing some data,
Send,
right,
yeah.
you can just take a hint from here.
Mm.
You can take a hint from here. Other than this, you can use some netstat commands as well to get a list of all the active connections.
Netstat,
yeah. And then you can just kill those processes.
Small question again.
Yes.
Now, can you please show me in the attacker machine how we can see this machine now with the new software? If you don't mind. Yeah.
This one is the attacker machine.
No, no, I don't need to use this one. I need to use the other software.
Okay, other software has.
Yeah.
Again, the steps were exactly same. We don't have to go with those things. But again, steps were exactly same. Just go with the software. Just go with red, Trojan types. Just go with this one. Just go with anything. Just go with ProRes. Just execute this one. Here we have two different. Yes. Here we have two different applications. First one was ProConnective, which was used to get to. This was used as a connection handler. This one ProRes was used to create a malware. This file was used to create a malware, and this file was used for the connection handler part. Right. So you need to start both these files here. Again, steps were exactly same. All you need to do is just create the output file, create the malware with this software, and send it to your victim. Steps were exactly same. There was nothing different. Right? Yes, and in this part again, specify your IP address, use this button to create your malware and send it to your victim.
This is like binding, the other one, the artisan?
We don't have binding option out there. You cannot bind with this one. Let me just check. Like our download was there. Okay, damage keylogger part was there, but we don't have the binder option. File manager was there. These options were.
My question it was, where is the software that you are using for the binding before this one for the RAT? The last one before the RAT, you are using other software. Yeah.
That was Dark Comet. That was
Dark Comet. Yes. This is my question. From Dark Comet, how you are tracing now the infected machine? This is my question.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was so disabled.
Not a problem. Here we have the Dark Comet.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. If your machine, like if the malware created by your Dark Comet works perfectly fine, you will get a machine name here like Nginx. Nginx show you a list of all the compromised machines on this specific tab.
Yes,
right?
You're right.
And Dark Comet, the same way Dark Comet will show you the compromised machines here.
But it's not show us when you are now access it from the infected machine.
Yes, that's the main point here. Sometimes this Dark Comet works, sometimes it will not work. It depends.
Okay.
Like you can just download this kind of Dark Comet software from different GitHub repositories. We don't have the official one because it's a paid version for the Dark Comet. It's a paid malware, you can say.
Okay.
You need to buy it, or you can just download it from the GitHub. Just search here. Just go with Google. And then search here for Dark Comet on GitHub.
Yeah.
can download from these different repositories, right? If the first one will not work, just go with the second one. If even second one will not work, you can try the third one.
Excellent,
right? But again, you are not sure about the dark mode, like this file is gonna work, this file is gonna work, or this one is gonna work, because we don't have the official file for the dark format. If you simply search for the dark format, it will take you to this website. Like here, we have a specific website, this one, dark format -write. You can just download this file from here as well. You can go with the GitHub, you download this source code. There is the dark format part. Just go with the repository. Junker, dark code, GitHub, execute, shell code, and different parts were there, but dark format.
It's okay, what GitHub?
We don't have dark format here. No, we don't have dark format. We have to find out other locations. But again, you can download this file from different locations.
Yes. Dark format.
You can download from GitHub easily, or you can also take help from different other malwares, different other rats as well. Like NJRat is one of them, Black Shark is one of them, Black Office is one of them, Sub7 is one of them. You can even search for these different rats on the GitHub, or you can just download them from the GitHub. It's not limited to dark format, or if you want, you can just go with FileBinder as well, simply.
Yeah.
You can use these FileBinders online as well. Just search there for FileBinder online, and they will bind your two different files with a single file. Again, all you have to do is just go with FileBinder.
Exactly, yes.
We have different FileBinders you can use.
Yes, exactly.
Right? It's not limited to dark format, it's not limited to NJRat, ProRat, or all different kind of malwares. You can use other different rats as well. My main objective was just to show you, like these kind of malware, this kind of software were also exist. You can also use them. Right? So you have the link for the Google Drive. You can just download this kind of rats from this Google Drive and just download those malwares in your virtualized machine. Don't download those malwares in your main machine.